Hi guys, it's Becky, and I got my Shop Extras order from Sam's Bead Shop for the current Sam's Bead box. It is the September box, the one that was curated by Nealay Patel from SilverSilk More. And so I thought the perfect way to expand and make some more things with this box was to go ahead and grab the curated silver silk pipe chain and flat mesh that Nealay put together. And I grabbed some of the seed beads that Rachel Siegel had curated to go with these. And let me just show you what I got. I'm probably not going to be using all of these for this project, but I just want to show you what I got. So there is this seed bead mix, and these are 11O seed beads, and there's a really, really big tube of that. And then I grabbed some 8O and 6O seed beads, and this is the first time I think I've seen, they may have had this before in another Sam's Bead box, but it's the first time I've seen 6Os with that, and they're both in like this bronze color. So that goes really well with a lot of the colors here in the box. So I got those, and I'm probably going to be going ahead and using a couple of these 6Os for this project. So I'm going to leave that here and set those aside. I did get some flat mesh. Y'all know I love flat mesh. And there's this really light gold, yellow gold, not orangey gold, flat mesh that is the same color as the gold on the pipe chain that came with the box. So like it is perfectly matched to that. And then there's this hematite colorway. It's a really dark, like kind of a matte gray color. And let me stop being distracted by everything behind that. So I've got both of those, and I've actually used this color in another project that you may have seen. I used that with the bright pink magenta thing for the Viva Magenta box. I used both of those together for my projects on that box, the same color. So I'm happy to get more because I will definitely be using it. As far as the pipe chain that was added as an extra for this box, we've got this one that has a black tube, and this is a silicone tube, I think. Latex, I don't know. It's rubber. And then on top of that overlaid is a bronze color wire. So it's knitted wire on top of that. And one other good thing about getting these from the shop is that you get a lot of pipe chain to work with. And then the second color is this one, and that is a brown tube with this bright green knitting on top. So together they make a very, very great colorway to go with a lot of the greens and browns and bronzes that were present in this box. So it goes really, really well together. So what I wanted to do, since I got both of these, is to do a 2-color project with the pipe chain. And this is something I've done before. I did not record it though, but it turned out really well. And so I want to go ahead and make one of these on camera with you guys. And that is to make a Heracles knot bangle using some craft wire and 2 different colors of pipe chain. Now this one I made earlier this year using some beads and pipe chain that came in a Viva Magenta kit from Softflex. And then I had just some black pipe chain in my stash that I went ahead and added to that. So we're going to be ending up making this, and I'm going to show you how. This one is a very bright colors, flashy, sparklies, sort of a bangle, and the one that we're going to make is going to end up more earth tones, sort of muted colors. So while I am not like somebody who really believes that jewelry has to be gendered, like I think boys are allowed to wear bright colors and sparkly things if they want to. Um, but I mean, this one will have a more masculine feel, um, as opposed to this one, which might be a little more feminine. Anyway, somebody who enjoys wearing earth tones and clean lines in their jewelry would enjoy wearing this. Whether it's a boy, non-binary, anybody who enjoys that. I actually used to wear almost solely earth tones and uh, what are they called? Like monochrome colors. Like bright colors were not something that I sought out. Um, very much enjoying colors right now, but that's a different story. Okay, so I'm going to make a little Heracles knot right now in order to yeah, we're gonna go around and through like that, so I can measure this and get it to the right length for how much of this I'm going to need. I'm going to measure it. You can either measure it around your wrist to see how long you want it to be, or if you have a bracelet mandrel, you can do that. I've got a little bracelet mandrel here that I just drew at the places on this where, like, this would be the tightest that I could have a bracelet. This is about the right size for me, and this would be like a bangle that you slide over your hand. That's the size that I would want for that. So I've marked it like this. You don't have to have a ring mandrel or a bracelet mandrel in order to do these sorts of things. Okay, and I'm just gonna pull that and slide it because that is going to be about the right size. And I usually measure it a little bit above there because it expands out. This is what I'll be forming it around too when I do that. And that is about the right amount and length that I'm going to want these to be. So I'm going to cut my pipe chain there. I'm going to set this aside. And like I said, you can form it around your wrist to figure out your length. Let me real quick. They don't have to be the same length. They can if you want them to be, though. Let me grab a measuring tape real quick, just to give you an idea of what I've cut for my length for this. And they're not the same length, but they're going to be close enough for me. If you want them to be the same length, go ahead and cut them the same length. So the shorter one is about exactly 9 inches. And the longer one is about 9, almost 10, 9 3/4. I'm actually going to go ahead and clip this off so that I do have two that are the same length. And like, one of the cool things about pipe chain is this little bit, it can act as a bead in another project somewhere. I can string it on between some things. It can act as a spacer, or I can cut it up into another section. So little bits of pipe chain, save them because you can use them for things. All right, so now I have two 9-inch lengths of my pipe chain. I've got those cut and set aside. And for my pipe chain, I am going to be using on the ends, these are 4mm glue-in end caps that have a little hole. Let's focus. It has a little hole you can see there. And that's what the wire can go through, just to protect wrists and things from the ends of the pipe chain. I'm going to go ahead and squish the ends so that the wire lays flat. And then I'm going to put this on fairly carefully. So I want the wire to go under this into the bead cap. And there were some glue and ends that came in the box from Sam's Bead Box. You can also get really great end caps that are different colors of metal and fit better than this onto the pipe chain from SilverSilk More. And I would be using those, except I didn't put them away the last time I used them, and so now I'm not sure where they are. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit of searching to find them. So for this project, I'm gonna use what I can find, which are these. You could try with 5mm end caps, but they're a little on the loose side. Okay, so that's on there pretty well. Just putting it on, giving a little twist, and there it is on the ends. So I'm going to do this for both of these before we even get started making our little bangle. It's not really a bangle, it's more like a cuff, because it has a place where you can open and close it. So I guess you can have like bangles that you open and close. That's a possibility. But anyway, I'm choosing this bronze color because it goes there's another one. It just gives it a really nice finished end. You want to lay these down flat before you put it in there. It's metal, it is malleable, or it's wire, so you can form it to meet your needs. I've got just one little sticky outy bit right there. I'm gonna just clip it with my flesh cutters. There we go. Now we're good. Okay, so now I've got my two little bits of my pipe chain, and I want to choose, actually, no, let's go ahead and do our knot. I'm gonna grab this vintage bronze 20 gauge wire. And let's make the bracelet, and then we can add our decorations. Move that out of the way so you can see this better. All right, so I have 9-inch lengths of pipe chain. I'm going to want to give myself about 4 or 5 extra inches for each of my strands of wire for making my loop and my hook at the end. So that is going to be about 14 inches, 13 to 14 inches for wire. So let's go ahead and cut that. That's one. Now we'll cut another one. Okay, and I'm just trying to smooth these out and get them as straight as possible, because we are going to be putting the pipe chain, or the wire, through the pipe chain. And sometimes wire likes to get caught on the insides of the pipe chain. This is not round like the memory wire, so it should work a little bit better than that. All right, so I've got it coming out the other side. I'm going to do the same thing with this side. Don't bend it yet, Bex. It's just going all the way through and coming out the other end. All right, now I'm going to have one longer end and one shorter end on both of these. And then I want to find the middle of each of these by bending the ends of my pipe chains together, not the ends of my wires. So one of my wires will be longer, but my pipe chains are going to be bent in a U shape. I'm just very gently giving it this U shape, and I'm going to set that aside. And we'll do the same thing with this one. Just very gently giving it that U shape. So now that they're both in a U shape, I'm going to turn them over. We are going to form our knot. I'm going to put this down through the curved edge of this wire, like so. Whoop. And I'm going to put these ends, actually I think these ends need to go first, so down through here, and then these ones go up through it. Both ends, one end goes down, one end goes up. This goes up through the loop, and then this one goes down through the loop, and I'm just going to bend that because that's just going to be so much easier for me now that I'm holding on to this over here. And then you pull it. Don't pull the end caps off your pipe chains. Just pull on the pipe chain parts, like that. And that makes you yourself a nice little Heracles knot. All right, before I finish this, I'm going to work on the embellishment part right here in the middle, because this is going to move around a lot until I get that done. And I don't want to start planning where my loops and hooks are going to be until after I know how long this is going to be. So for embellishment parts, we're going to be using some beads from here. And in this one, I used kind of a long bead, some spacers, and a couple of other sparkly beads as my embellishment. I think I'd like to stick with a long bead. I was thinking maybe this wooden bead. I think that would be fantastic in there, with a couple of these on either side. And like with this design, you don't have to use just the beads from here. You could use like other beads for your embellishment. It wouldn't have to be there. So yeah, if I got these 6/0s on either side and had it gone through there, or this is another idea, grabbing this long bead and having that be, you know what, I have enough pipe chain, I can do 2 of them. I'm going to make a second one with this, but I think I want these on here with it if I do a second one. Yep, I'm going to make a second one. And I'm going to use that. But for now, I'm going to use this twisty wooden bead and some brass spacers for that. And I think I want, guess we're going to go ahead and use this 20 gauge wire since it's handy. You can use a smaller gauge for this. It's fine because it's just wrapping wire around the pipe chain. It's not providing structure like this one is. So also, if you don't have these together, it makes it a lot easier when you are wrapping around the pipe chain because you can just go between them. Okay, so I think a couple wraps there is good. Now I've got this over here. Let me get my chain nose pliers and I'm just going to squish these wraps together to make them look a little bit neater on that side. And I will cut this after I get the second part wrapped. I'm just going to move this because I would like this to focus a little bit better on what I'm doing and not be so preoccupied with the other things. There we go. So we've got a wrap on that side, and I'm going to want to string my beads and then wrap on the other side. It's fairly simple, fairly easy, but I love the look of this type of bracelet when you're done with it. All right, this one. There we go. So you can bring it in closer so that it fits perfectly, especially if you do it before you get it shaped. Right now, I'm going to want to bend my wire so that I can fit it in here. And that's just going to make it so much easier to wrap it around. This end. Okay. Is that fitting? Is that where I want it to be? Just going to move this around until I get it right. Or do I want it to be a little bit tighter? Yes, perfect. All right. You can adjust this as you need. Now on the back side, I'm going to cut my wire. And I've got a little pokey outy bit here, right there. So I'm going to take my chain nose pliers and I'm going to tuck that in and around into the pipe chain. This pipe chain is great like that. You can just tuck that wire into it. This is the back side. Side that will be facing people's wrists. So you definitely want to tuck that up away from there. There you go. Perfect. Huh. My little bronze, the 6.0 is still a little bit too small for that. It's kind of tucked away in there. That's fine. Actually, no, it's not fine. I am going to undo this wrap and I'm going to put another 6.0 on here because I don't want it to be one-sided. It is not fine. All right, undoing the wrap means this is what it means. It means I'm doing this all over again. So I'm going to do that off camera. Since I already did that on camera, you saw me doing it, I'll just do that again for your sakes. And then we'll get that put back on there, because I would like for you to be able to see these 6 O's on each side. Okay, I have fixed it. And just to let you guys know, I have an evaluation process that I go through in my head when I notice a problem or a mistake that I've made. And that is, first of all, is it easy to fix? And if the answer to that is yes, then I'll just fix it. If it is not that easy to fix, the next thing I'll ask is it noticeable? And if the answer to that is yes, I will ask myself, can I live with it? That is the next question, and I could not live with that. And it was very noticeable. So I've fixed it, and now I'm getting ready to turn this into a bangle. Let me grab my form. And I just want to show you that you don't need one of these. If you don't have one, you could use a cup. Like the bottom of a cup might work just as easily and just as well. Let's see, it's about the same one. And this is just a plastic cup, or if you've got like a pint glass that has a narrower end, you can form this around that, and they work just fine for forming bracelets. Just fine. I'm just going to go ahead and stick this guy right here and just start pressing it back against it. It will pop back out, and that's fine. But I just want to make sure that it is the size and shape that I want, and that is plenty of room for me to make a closure on the other side. So I'm going to take that out now that that's nice and round. And let's work on these ends. So my short end, I'm going to bend both of these over. And one of them, the long end, I'm going to, where these two meet, bend up like that. And then I'm going to take my short end and I'm just going to wrap it around this other end. And it doesn't have to be a super tidy wrap, because you're going to wrap over this in a minute. All right, so for this one, I'm going to use this to make my circle closure. So for this, you can use a bail making pliers, which is probably what I will use if I can find them. If you don't have bail making pliers, you could use a small tube like the end of a pen or something like that to make a circle around. I'm going to use my second smallest, or my second largest, to form a circle that can be used for my hook to go through. All right, I'm just going to give this a little bit of a smush with my chain nose pliers just to work harden it a little bit. And now I'm going to go ahead and wrap back down around that stuff that I already wrapped. And that's why it doesn't have to be neat and tidy, because you're going to go right back down. It's going to be a nice fat wrap. I'm just going to keep going all the way down to where the wires meet. Tuck that in a little bit. Cut that flush. And just smoosh my end in over here. Did I just lose my... Well, that's fine. That is just fine. And here's the thing is, if you don't have these end caps, you can just keep wrapping your wire. You want to cut it a little bit longer than I did, down around the ends of your pipe chain. That is another way to finish off your pipe chain. It's just to wrap the wire around it. So let me get my little bead cap back on there. Not bead cap, end cap. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side, but instead of making a loop, I'm going to make a little hook. So I'm going to bend both of these toward each other. And then this one, where they meet, I'm going to bend up like that. Take this shorter end, wrap it around this one 3 or 4 times. My wrap doesn't need to be neat and tidy because we are gonna wrap over it. All right, so for my hook, say about the side of a finger up from there. Yeah, that's gonna be long enough, about a finger width. I'm gonna bend this over. It's gonna be a fairly sharp bend. I'm gonna use my fingers to kind of smush those together like that. And then I'm going to get, actually let me wrap it first before we start bending it into our little hook. I'm just going to wrap this all the way down. You can use different forms of attachment if you want to. You don't have to do a little hook and eye like I'm doing. Perfect. All right. I'm just forming this around my bell making pliers. You can use round nose pliers if you have some, like this. To make a little bit of a hook that can hook onto. And then you have a Heracles knot bangle. I'm going to make a second one of these with this bead. So I'm going to make that, and I will join you right back here, and we'll take a look at it when I'm finished with it. And I think for the second one, let me get it all made up, and I will show you how to wrap the wire around the pipe chain. So for the second one, I won't use the end caps. That way you can see both of the methods. Okay, so I am done creating this and I'm ready to finish it off with my end pieces. Now I did cut a much longer length of wire for this one because I am going to be continuing my wrapping down past here. So I did 14 inches for this, and I have cut 18 inches just to be on the safe side for all of these. Now I did the same steps that I did with the other one, where here, let me do it on this side so you can see it, where you bend both the long and the short wire toward the other. And then this one, the longer wire, we're just going to take that place where it meets and bend it straight again. And then this one goes all the way around it. Just a couple of times to keep them together. We are going to be wrapping around it, so it doesn't need to be neat and tidy. It's fine if it isn't. And then on this one, I went ahead and used my bail making pliers to make my loop. You guys saw me do that before on the other one. And I'm just gonna give it a smoosh for strengthening the circle. And then hold on to it. And I'm gonna wrap. I'm gonna start wrapping down from here. All the way down. This is why we cut extra wire. I'm gonna wrap around this a couple of times so it gets a little bit fatter. Now, I'm going to bring my wire around the edges of my pipe chain. I'm just going to keep wrapping until I run out of wire. And I wish that had ended in the back, but it's okay if it doesn't, because I'm going to just take this little edge here, which is flush, by the way, which is nice. I'm just going to push it into this pipe chain to hold it. So that wrapped one end. Now we're going to do that on the other end. Let's see. To make a bend. Could be a sharper bend. Oop, that's too sharp. Okay. Now I'm going to just wrap all the way down, same thing. Till I'm wrapping around my pipe chain here at the end with my wire. And this is just another way you can finish your pipe chain if you don't have any end caps. And that one is not flush, so I'm going to just flush cut it and tuck it in. Yeah, I don't like that being there. I'm going to pull that back and cut it here. Tuck that end in. That looks much better. Okay, now I gotta make my little loop closure. My hook. myself a little hook. Now I'm going to, instead of wrapping this around my bracelet form, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it around the end of this cup. It's just a plastic cup, but it's tapered, so it works pretty well for forming a bangle. So this is bangle number 2 that I made tonight with pipe chain and the mid-century style Sam's bead box. We've got 2 different things and how they look, but both the same, sort of. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you learned something. I hope you found a different way of working with pipe chain. I know when I first got it, I was like, what is this? How do I work with it? And like the tutorials on the SilverSilk More YouTube channel are invaluable. There are so many different ways that you can learn how to use it, and Nealay is such a good instructor. So if you don't already subscribe to that page, go hop on over there and hit subscribe and watch some of those tutorials. They're fantastic. And thanks for joining me. I hope you guys have a great night. Bye.